Captain Jin-Ho Park stood at the viewing window of the Earth diplomatic vessel Horizon. The massive Galactic Council station hung in space before him, its rings and spires glowing with strange lights. After 3 months of travel through the darkness of space, they had finally arrived. "Captain, the Council has sent docking instructions," said Taewon, the security chief. His hand rested near his side where Jin-Ho knew he kept his stunner. Old habits die hard. Jin-Ho nodded. "Tell the pilot to follow their path exactly. We can't afford any mistakes today." The Horizon was not large compared to the other ships around the station. Jin-Ho counted at least 20 alien vessels, each with designs that defied human engineering. Some looked like giant sea creatures, others like floating crystals. The diversity was both wonderful and frightening. "Do you think they'll accept us?" asked Hana. The cultural specialist stood beside Jin-Ho, her eyes wide as she took in the sight of so many alien cultures in one place. "They invited us," Jin-Ho said. "That's a good start." "After watching us for 50 years, Taewon muttered. "Who knows what they think of us?" Jin-Ho said nothing. The security chief wasn't wrong. The aliens had been studying Earth from afar for decades before making contact last year. What had they seen? Wars, pollution, but also art, music, and acts of kindness. Humans at their worst and best. "Docking in 5 minutes," announced the ship's computer. Jin-Ho turned to his small team. "Remember your training. We represent all of humanity today." The Horizon slid into its assigned dock with a gentle bump. Jin-Ho felt the slight change in gravity as the station's systems took over. A hiss of air announced that the connection was secure. "They're waiting for us," said Dae-jung, the science officer. He pointed at his tablet, which showed alien figures gathering in a large room beyond the dock. Jin-Ho straightened his blue uniform. "Then let's not keep them waiting." The council chamber was enormous. Its ceiling arched so high that Jin-Ho felt like he was outdoors. 17 raised platforms formed a circle around a central floor where the humans now stood. Each platform held representatives from a different alien species. Some looked almost human, 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. Others were completely different, floating gas clouds in containment fields, insect-like beings with many limbs, creatures that seemed to be made of living crystal. "Welcome, humans of Earth," said a tall, thin alien with purple skin. "I am Elder Vorax, first speaker of the Galactic Council." Jin-Ho bowed slightly. "Thank you for your welcome, Elder. I am Captain Jin-Ho Park, representing the United Earth Government." Elder Vorax's large eyes blinked slowly. "For thousands of years, this council has maintained peace among the stars. Each new species brings unique gifts and perspectives to our community." The humans stood silently, feeling the weight of 17 alien civilizations watching them. "We have observed your world for some time," continued Vorax. "Your species advances. Quickly. Too quickly, some would say." Jin-Ho felt Taewon tense beside him. "But that is not for us to judge," said Vorax. "All species find their own path to the stars." A low murmur ran through the chamber as the aliens discussed among themselves. Jin-Ho caught unfamiliar words and clicks and whistles. Translation devices could only do so much. Elder Vorax raised a hand, and silence fell. "As is our tradition when welcoming a new species, we ask one question. Your answer will help us understand your essence." Jin-Ho nodded. "We are ready." "Tell us of your gods," said Elder Vorax, "so we might understand your essence." Jin-Ho felt a sudden chill. Of all the questions they had prepared for, this was not one they had expected. He glanced at his team. Hana, the cultural specialist, looked worried. How could they explain Earth's complex religious history in a few sentences? Dae-jung, the science officer, raised an eyebrow. He was not religious himself. Taewon's face had gone completely blank, a sign he was deeply uncomfortable. Jin-Ho knew he had to answer carefully. Some humans still followed ancient faiths. Others believed in a single god. Many believed in no gods at all. What answer would represent all of humanity? The silence stretched. The aliens watched, waiting. Jin-Ho thought of human history, the gods of old myths, The rise and fall of religions, the shift toward science and reason, the ways humans had taken control of their own destiny. He made his decision. We killed them, Jinho said simply. The chamber erupted in noise. Some aliens stood up in shock. Others made signs with their limbs that Jinho didn't understand. A few platforms emptied as representatives hurried away. Elder Vorax's purple skin had turned a pale blue. "Explain," he demanded, his voice shaking. But before Jinho could speak, a reptilian alien with red scales stood up. "This confirms our worst fears," it hissed. "These humans are destroyers, god-killers. They cannot be trusted." "Counselor Thexus, please," said Vorax, trying to restore order. "How does a species kill its creators?" asked a floating cloud of gas. "It is not physically possible." "Unless they were never true gods," whispered a small, bird-like alien. Jinho tried to speak again, but the chamber was in chaos. Elder Vorax struck a crystal rod against his platform, and a deep tone silenced the room. "Humans," said Vorax, his voice now formal and cold. "You will be escorted to guest quarters while the council discusses this revelation. We request that you remain there until summoned." 4 tall, armored beings appeared at the chamber entrance. Their faces were hidden behind masks that reflected light like mirrors. "This way," one said, its voice mechanical and flat. As they followed their escorts from the chamber, Jinho heard the angry voices of the council start up again. The guest quarters were comfortable but small. A single room with 4 sleeping areas, a common space, and a strange bathroom that the humans were still figuring out how to use. "That went well," said Taewon, his voice heavy with sarcasm. He paced back and forth across the room. Hana sat on one of the beds, her head in her hands. "We should have prepared more. Religion is always a sensitive topic, even among humans." "How were we supposed to know they'd ask about gods?" asked Daejong. He was trying to access the station's information network through his tablet, but kept hitting security blocks. Jinho stood by the single window, looking out at the stars. "I said what I thought was true." "You said we killed our gods," Taewon snapped. "That's not exactly diplomatic." "What should I have said? That some humans worship one god, others worship many, and some worship none? That we've had wars over religion? That faith is completely personal now?" Jinho shook his head. "They wanted our essence." "And our essence is that we killed our gods?" Hana asked quietly. Jinho turned to face his team. "In a way, yes. We stopped letting divine beings decide our fate. We took responsibility for ourselves, for our future." "Well, that future is looking pretty short right now," said Taewon. "We should prepare for a quick exit. I don't like how those council members reacted." A soft chime announced someone at the door. It slid open to reveal one of the crystal beings. This one was smaller than the others they had seen, with a blue-green tint to its faceted body. "I am Kira," it said, its voice like wind chimes. "I bring food and drink suitable for human consumption." Kira placed a tray on the table. The food looked strange but smelled good. "Thank you," said Jinho. "Can you tell us what's happening in the council?" Kira's crystals shifted slightly, catching the light. "They debate your fate. Many are afraid." "Afraid of us?" asked Hana. "But we came in peace." "You killed your gods," said Kira. "No other species has done this." "We didn't literally kill," Daejong began, but Kira continued. "Some believe you will bring chaos. Others are curious." Kira moved toward the door. "Rest now. Tomorrow will be difficult." The door closed behind Kira with a soft hiss. Jinho looked at his team. "Get some sleep if you can. I have a feeling Kira is right. Tomorrow will be difficult." As the others prepared for rest, Jinho returned to the window. Somewhere out there was Earth, too far to see. He wondered if they had just ruined humanity's first chance to join the galactic community. Only time would tell. 3 days passed. The humans remained in their quarters waiting. Food came regularly, brought by different aliens each time, but no one would answer their questions. On the morning of the fourth day, Jin-ho woke to the sound of the door chime. He had slept poorly, worried about their situation. "Enter," he called, sitting up on his bed. The door slid open. Kira stood there, blue-green crystals glinting in the light. "The council will see you now," said Kira. "Please follow me." Jin-ho woke his team. They quickly made themselves presentable, straightening their wrinkled uniforms as best they could. "What's happening?" Taiwan asked Kira, as they walked through the station's curved hallways. "A special tribunal has been formed," replied Kira. "Elder Vorax will explain." The room they entered was smaller than the main council chamber. Only 7 alien representatives sat in a half-circle facing a single table with 4 chairs. Jin-ho recognized Elder Vorax and the angry reptilian Thexus. The others were new to him. "Be seated," said Elder Vorax. The humans sat at the table, feeling exposed with all eyes on them. "This tribunal has been formed to understand what you meant by your disturbing statement," said Vorax. "Killing one's gods is unthinkable among council species." "It would be impossible for most," added a small alien with 6 arms. "Our gods are real beings who guide us." Jin-ho looked at Hana. She was their expert on culture and religion. She nodded slightly, understanding his silent request. "If I may explain," Hana said, standing up. "When Captain Jin-ho said we killed our gods, he did not mean it literally." "Speak plainly," growled Thexus, the red-scaled reptilian. "Did you kill divine beings or not?" Hana took a deep breath. Human religious history is complex. Long ago, humans believed in many gods who controlled nature, gods of the sun, moon, rivers, and so on. As we learned more about how the world works through science, we no longer needed gods to explain these things. "You replaced gods with science?" asked a floating alien that looked like a jellyfish. "For some humans, yes," said Hana. "Others combined science with belief in a single god. Some kept their old faiths but saw them differently." "This does not explain killing your gods," said Vorax. "Please continue." Hana nodded. "As humans advanced, we took more control over our own fate. We didn't physically kill divine beings. We outgrew our need for them to explain the world or guide our actions." Thexus stood up, his scales darkening with emotion. "This is worse than we feared. These humans believe they are above divine guidance. They are dangerous. They will spread their godless thinking to other species." "We are not trying to spread anything," Jin-ho said firmly. "We respect that other species have their own beliefs." A thin alien with large eyes spoke next. "How can we trust that? If you rejected your own gods, why would you respect ours?" The tribunal members began talking all at once. Jin-ho couldn't follow all the translations. He heard words like dangerous, unpredictable, and quarantine. "Enough," said Vorax, striking his crystal rod. The room fell silent. "We will proceed in an orderly manner." Jin-ho noticed that Kira, standing at the back of the room, was watching everything with great interest. When their eyes met, Kira tilted her crystalline head slightly. "I request access to human historical and philosophical records," said Kira suddenly. All heads turned toward her. "Why?" asked Thexus. "To understand is better than to fear," replied Kira. "Humans have lived without divine guidance, yet they have advanced enough to reach the stars. This is interesting." "It is dangerous," hissed Thexus. "If other young species learn they can reject their gods, chaos will follow." "Knowledge is not a danger," said Kira. Her crystal body shimmered slightly, which Jin-ho guessed was a sign of emotion. "The young one has a point," said Vorax after a moment. "We cannot judge what we do not understand." Vorax turned to Jin-ho. "Captain, would you allow our scholars access to your historical and philosophical archives?" Jin-ho nodded. "Of course. We came here to share knowledge and build understanding between our peoples." "Then it is decided," said Vorax. "This tribunal will adjourn until our scholars have examined the human records." As they stood to leave, Dae-jung approached Jin-ho and whispered urgently in his ear, Captain, I need to speak with you privately. It's important. Back in their quarters, Jung pulled out his tablet and showed it to the team. While they've been keeping us here, I've been studying the station's systems, he said. Their security is good but not perfect. What did you find? Asked Jin-Ho. Jung pointed to diagrams on his screen. Their technology is advanced, but there are strange gaps. Look here and here. The others crowded around to see. I don't understand, said Hana. What am I looking at? Their computer systems, their energy production, even their medicine. They're all missing developments that should be obvious next steps, explained Jung. It's as if certain paths of research are deliberately avoided. Could it be their different biology requires different solutions? Asked Jin-Ho. Jung shook his head. Some of these principles are universal. They should work for any form of matter. The only explanation is that they're intentionally not exploring these areas. But why? Asked Taiwan. I think. Jung hesitated. I think it's religious taboos. They're afraid of crossing into territory they believe belongs to their gods. The room fell silent as they considered this idea. So when we said we killed our gods, Hana began, we admitted to doing what they fear most, finished Jin-Ho. We've taken knowledge into our own hands without limits. The door chime interrupted them. Jin-Ho quickly signaled to Jung to hide his tablet. Enter, called Jin-Ho. The door opened to reveal Kira, the crystal being stepped inside and looked around. Cautiously, I must speak with you, said Kira in a quiet voice. What I say must remain between us. Jin-Ho gestured to a chair. Please join us. Kira remained standing. You have caused great disturbance in the council with your words about gods. We didn't mean to upset anyone, said Hana. Our history is just different. Yes, said Kira. Very different and very important. Kira moved closer to them, voice dropping even lower. Long ago my people also questioned our gods. Those who did were called heretics and were sent away from our homeworld. Taiwan frowned. They were punished for asking questions? Yes, said Kira. We lost our greatest minds that day. Our progress slowed for centuries. Why are you telling us this? Asked Jin-Ho. Kira's crystals shifted colors slightly. Because I believe the exiles were right to question. I believe all thinking beings should seek knowledge without limits. That's a dangerous belief in the council, said Jung. Very dangerous, agreed Kira. But you humans have lived it. You've advanced without divine restrictions. You've done what many of us only dream of. So what happens now? Asked Jin-Ho. The tribunal will meet again tomorrow, said Kira. Most still fear you, but not all. Kira moved toward the door. Prepare well. Tomorrow will decide your place in our galaxy. After Kira left, the humans looked at each other. We need a new approach, said Jin-Ho. We've been defending ourselves, explaining our history. That's not working. What do you suggest? Asked Hana. Jin-Ho smiled slowly. Instead of explaining what we've lost by killing our gods, let's show them what we've gained. You want to demonstrate our technology, said Jung, catching on quickly. Exactly, said Jin-Ho. Tomorrow we stop apologizing for being human. We show them why humanity deserves a place among the stars. Taiwan looked worried. That's risky. What if it confirms their fears about us? It's a risk we have to take, said Jin-Ho. Because right now, they're thinking about sending us home and pretending Earth doesn't exist. As night fell on the station, the humans prepared their demonstration, knowing that the next day would determine humanity's future among the stars. The humans worked through the night preparing for the tribunal. Jung connected their ship's database to his tablet. Hana organized their presentation. Taiwan checked and rechecked the devices they would show. Jin-Ho planned what he would say. Morning came too quickly. They ate a quick meal of the strange alien food they were now getting used to. Ready? Jin-Ho asked his team. They nodded, tired but determined. A chime at the door announced their escort. This time it wasn't Kira but two tall guards with mirror-like masks. Follow, one said simply. The tribunal room looked different today. A large display screen had been added. More council members were present, sitting in rows behind the 7 tribunal members. "This hearing has drawn interest," whispered Hana to Jinho. "The whole council must be watching." Elder Vorax sat in the center, his purple skin looking more rested than before. Next to him, the red-scaled Thexus glared at the humans. "Humans of Earth," began Vorax. "Our scholars have reviewed your historical records. They have found your religious development unusual. No other known species has abandoned divine guidance yet survived," said another tribunal member. "Most self-destruct shortly after such a phase." Jinho stepped forward. "With respect, we haven't abandoned anything valuable. We've grown. Today we would like to show you what that growth has allowed us to create." Murmurs spread through the watching council members. "Proceed," said Vorax cautiously. Jinho nodded to Daejung, who connected his tablet to the display screen. Images appeared, showing Earth's development from early civilization to modern times. "Humans once believed the sun was pulled across the sky by a god in a chariot," Jinho explained. "Now we understand stars are giant balls of burning gas, and we've built machines to study them up close." He nodded to Taewon, who placed a small device on the table. It lit up and projected a 3-dimensional map of Earth's solar system. "This shows our home system," said Jinho. "Every planet, moon, and major asteroid is mapped with complete accuracy." The council members leaned forward, studying the display with interest. "Next," Jinho continued, "humans once believed sickness was a punishment from the gods. Now we understand disease comes from tiny organisms and can be treated." Daejung placed a small metal cylinder on the table. "This contains medical nanobots. They can repair damaged cells, fight infections, and extend human lifespans." "You create tiny machines that enter your bodies?" asked one council member, sounding shocked. "Yes," said Daejung. "They save millions of lives." Thexus stood up, scales darkening. "This is exactly what we feared. These humans create life and play at being gods." "We don't create life," corrected Daejung. "We create tools. There's a difference." Hana stepped forward. "Humans also preserve our history and culture. With technology." She placed a small crystal on the table. "This contains perfect recreations of Earth's most important historical sites, even those now destroyed." The crystal projected images of ancient buildings, temples, and cities from around Earth. "Beautiful," whispered a bird-like council member. Jinho noticed Kira watching from the back of the room, crystal body glowing slightly brighter than normal. "Finally," said Jinho, "we have learned to protect ourselves not through prayer but through understanding the natural world." Taewon hesitated, then placed the last device on the table. "This can detect and predict natural disasters like earthquakes and storms. It has saved countless lives." The council room fell silent as they studied the human devices. Jinho could feel the tension in the air. Some aliens seemed fascinated, others disturbed. Elder Vorax finally spoke. "You have shown impressive achievements, but at what cost? Without divine guidance, what stops you from using such power unwisely?" "We guide ourselves," said Jinho simply. "We make mistakes, yes, but we learn from them." "Dangerous," hissed Thexus, pointing at the humans. "They will bring chaos to the galaxy. Their ideas will spread like a disease." Several council members nodded in agreement. But then a voice spoke from the back of the room. "Or they will bring progress." Kira moved forward, crystal body shining brightly. "These humans have advances our scientists have never imagined. Not because they cannot imagine them, but because they are forbidden to." "Be silent," ordered Thexus. "You speak of things you do not understand." "I understand well enough," said Kira calmly. "I have studied our oldest records. Before the Great Exile, my people were developing technologies similar to these humans. Then we stopped, fearing divine anger." Gasps came from several council members. "This discussion is not appropriate for an open tribunal," said Vorax quickly. "We will adjourn for..." A loud alarm suddenly cut through the room. Red lights flashed on the walls. "What's happening?" Jinho asked. One of the guards touched a device on his wrist, listened, then spoke to Vorax. Vorax stood up. "There has been a security breach in the station's systems. This hearing is suspended. Guards, return the humans to their quarters." As they were escorted out, Jinho noticed Thexus speaking urgently to several other council members. They looked angry. "I don't like this," muttered Taewon. Back in their quarters, Daejung immediately checked his tablet. "Someone tried to access our ship's systems," he reported. "They were looking for weapons." "Did they find anything?" asked Jinho. Daejung shook his head. "No, our security held." "They're looking for reasons to fear us," said Hana, "or to justify their fear." The door chime rang. Jinho approached cautiously. "Who is it?" "Kira," came the reply. "I must speak with you. Quickly." Jinho opened the door. Kira slipped inside, crystal body dimmed to a dull glow. "You are in danger," Kira said without greeting. "Thexus has convinced several council members that you pose an immediate threat." "That's ridiculous," said Taewon. "We came in peace." "Peace does not matter to those who fear change," said Kira. "Thexus and his allies fear what you represent more than what you might do." "And what do we represent?" asked Jinho. Kira's crystals shifted colors. "Freedom. You think without limits. You create without fear of divine punishment. To some this is terrifying." "What can we do?" asked Hana. "I am not alone in my views," said Kira. "For centuries a secret movement has grown among all council species. Those who question, who wonder, who want to explore beyond the limits of tradition. A secret society of alien scientists," whispered Daejung, eyes wide. "Not just scientists," corrected Kira. "Artists, philosophers, explorers. All who dream of freedom. And you want our help?" guessed Jinho. "Yes," said Kira. "But first I must help you. Thexus plans to examine your ship. He hopes to find weapons or dangerous technology to prove humans cannot be trusted." Taewon tensed. "If they search our ship without permission, that's an act of aggression." "I know," said Kira. "That is why we must act quickly. My friends have prepared a secure meeting place where we can talk freely." "This could be a trap," warned Taewon. Jinho studied Kira carefully. "Why should we trust you?" "Because like you, I killed my gods," replied Kira. "Not with weapons, but with questions, with doubt, with the desire to know truth, whatever it might be." Jinho looked at his team. One by one, they nodded. "Led the way," he told Kira. Kira moved to the door, then turned back. "Bring your devices. They destroyed one world's faith. Perhaps they can help build a new one." As they slipped out of their quarters and into the dimly lit corridors of the station, Jinho felt a strange mix of fear and hope. They were breaking rules, risking everything. But for the first time since arriving, he felt they might find true allies among the stars. Somewhere in the distance, an alarm began to sound. Kira led the humans through narrow service passages. The station was huge, with many areas that seemed unused or forgotten. "Stay close," Kira whispered. "Security will be searching for you soon." "Where are we going?" asked Jinho as they ducked under a low pipe. "To the old hub," replied Kira. "The first section of the station, built thousands of years ago. Few go there now." They moved quickly but quietly. Twice they had to hide as station security passed nearby. The alarms had stopped, but Jinho knew that didn't mean they were safe. "Almost there," said Kira after they had been walking for nearly an hour. They entered a large circular room. The walls were made of a different material than the rest of the station, darker and seemingly older. The room was dimly lit by soft blue lights. "Welcome to our meeting place," said Kira. As Jinho's eyes adjusted to the low light, he saw they were not alone. About a dozen aliens were waiting, each from a different species. Some he recognized from the council chambers, others were completely new to him. "These are my friends," explained Kira. "Like me, they questioned the limits placed on our knowledge." A tall, thin alien with gray skin stepped forward. "I am Nexor, Chief Science Officer of the Valerian Fleet. We have been watching your presentation to the tribunal with great interest." "You were spying on the hearing?" asked Taiwan, sounding suspicious. "We have our ways of accessing restricted information," said Nexor with a gesture that might have been a smile. "A necessary skill when knowledge is controlled." A small, furry alien bounced forward excitedly. "Your medical nanobots, truly amazing. My people suffer from genetic diseases our doctors cannot treat because gene manipulation is considered divine territory." "And your cultural preservation crystal?" added another alien, this one looking like a tall insect. "Such technology could save countless historical sites across the galaxy." Jinho looked around the room amazed. "You've all been holding back your research because of religious rules?" "Not by choice," said Nexor. "The Council enforces strict limits on technology that might infringe on divine domains. The punishment for breaking these rules is exile or worse." "Yet you risk it anyway," said Hana. "Why?" "Because progress is necessary," said Kira simply. "Because questions must be asked. Because knowledge is worth the risk." Daejung had been examining the room with interest. "This place is shielded, isn't it? That's why security hasn't found us." Nexor nodded. "The old hub has unusual properties. Our instruments cannot penetrate its walls. Convenient for secret meetings," noted Taiwan. "Indeed," agreed Nexor. "Now we must discuss your situation. Thexus and his supporters are searching your ship as we speak. They hope to find evidence that humans are dangerous." "That's a violation of diplomatic protocol," said Jinho angrily. "Thexus doesn't care about protocols," said Kira. "He cares about protecting the order of things. Your existence threatens that order." "So what do we do?" asked Hana. Before anyone could answer, a small device on Nexor's wrist lit up. He touched it and frowned. "Thexus has called an emergency council session," reported Nexor. "He claims to have found dangerous weapons technology on your ship." "That's impossible," said Taiwan. "We came on a diplomatic mission. Our ship has only basic defense systems." "Basic by your standards," said Kira. "But any technology that operates without divine approval would be considered dangerous here." Jinho made a quick decision. "We need to address the council directly, show them the truth before Thexus twists it." "That would be extremely risky," warned Nexor. "You would be walking into the heart of those who fear you most." "Sometimes the direct approach is best," said Jinho. "We came here to join the galactic community, not to hide in shadows." A moment of silence followed. "He's right," said Kira finally. "Hiding will only confirm their fears. If humans are to have a place among the stars, they must stand openly for what they believe." "And what about your group?" asked Jinho. "Won't helping us expose you?" Kira's crystals shimmered with changing colors. "Perhaps it's time for us to step from the shadows as well. For too long we have hidden our questions, our doubts, our dreams of progress." The other aliens looked at each other, uncertainty in their various forms of expression. "The risk is great," said the insect-like alien. "But so is the opportunity," argued Nexor. "With humans as allies, we might finally break free of these restrictions." "Then it's decided," said Kira. "We will go to the council chamber together." The council chamber was packed with representatives from all 17 species. Elder Vorak sat in his central position, looking troubled. Thexus stood before the council, displaying images from the human ship. These energy signatures prove the humans have weapons capable of destroying entire planets, Thexus was saying as Jinho and his group entered. A gasp went through the chamber as everyone noticed the humans. Even more shocking to the council was the group of aliens walking beside them, respected members of their own communities openly supporting the humans. "This meeting is closed," shouted Thexus. "Guards, remove these intruders." "Wait," said Vorax, holding up his hand. "Let them speak." Jinho stepped forward. "Honorable Council, Thexus is wrong about what he found on our ship. The energy signature he detected is from our faster-than-light drive, not a weapon. A convenient explanation, hissed Thexus. It is the truth, said Dae-jung, stepping forward with his tablet. I can show you the technical specifications. More importantly, continued Jinho, we need to address the real issue here. It's not about our technology, it's about fear. The chamber fell silent. You fear us because we have taken a different path, said Jinho. We stopped looking to gods for answers and started finding our own. This doesn't make us evil or dangerous. It makes us different. Kira moved to stand beside Jinho, and difference should be celebrated, not feared. For too long, the council has enforced limits on knowledge in the name of divine respect. Shocked murmurs spread through the chamber. A respected council member openly challenging tradition was unheard of. This is blasphemy, shouted Thexus. Arrest them all. No, said a new voice. An elderly alien with flowing robes stood up from among the council members. I have watched this situation with great interest. The humans have shown us not danger, but possibility. Jinho recognized the speaker as one of the senior council members who had remained silent during the tribunal. Elder Zhen, you cannot support these god-killers, said Thexus. I support truth wherever it leads, replied Elder Zhen. For centuries, I have watched our progress slow as we reach the limits of what our traditions allow. Perhaps it is time to reconsider those limits. The chamber erupted in debate. Some council members shouted angrily, others nodded in agreement with Elder Zhen's words. In the midst of the chaos, Elder Vorak struck his crystal rod 3 times. The sound echoed through the chamber, bringing silence. This is a moment of great importance for our council, said Vorak slowly. For thousands of years we have followed the same path. Now we face a choice. He looked at the humans, then at Kira and her friends, then at the divided council. We will vote, announced Vorax, on whether humans shall be welcomed into the galactic community, and on whether our traditions regarding divine domains shall be reconsidered. Thexus hissed in anger, but others on the council were nodding. Jinho felt a mixture of hope and fear. Everything now depended on this vote. The future of humanity among the stars, and perhaps the future of the entire galactic civilization, hung in the balance. The vote will begin, said Vorax, raising his crystal rod. May wisdom guide us all. The voting process was unlike anything Jinho had seen before. Each council species had their own method. Some used glowing orbs that changed color. Others pressed symbols on small devices. A few used hand gestures or vocal sounds. Jinho and his team stood quietly as the vote proceeded. Kira and her friends waited nearby, their futures also hanging in the balance. What happens if the vote goes against us? Whispered Hana to Jinho. Then we go home, he replied simply, and the stars remain closed to humanity. After nearly an hour, the voting ended. Elder Vorax stood to announce the results. The chamber was completely silent. On the matter of accepting humans into the galactic community, began Vorax, the vote is divided. Jinho's heart sank. However, continued Vorax, a small majority supports conditional acceptance. Hope returned. Jinho exchanged quick glances with his team. On the matter of reconsidering our traditions regarding divine domains, said Vorax, his voice careful, the vote is also divided, but with a majority in favor of limited reconsideration. A mix of happy and angry sounds filled the chamber. Thexus stormed out, followed by several supporters. Others looked thoughtful or relieved. Vorax raised his crystal rod for silence once more. This is an unprecedented moment in council history, he said. Never before have we questioned the boundaries set by our traditions. The path forward will not be easy. Elder Jen stood and joined Vorax. For those concerned about this change, remember that questions are not dangerous. Refusing to ask questions is what limits growth. The council has decided, announced Vorax. Humans will be accepted into the galactic community, but with certain restrictions, and a new committee will be formed to explore which technological boundaries might be reconsidered. Kira moved forward. Who will lead this committee? Someone with wisdom and caution, replied Vorax. Elder Jen has agreed to take this responsibility. Jinho felt relief wash over him. They had succeeded, not completely, but enough to open the door for humanity among the stars. Captain Jinho, said Vorax, please step forward. Jinho approached the center of the chamber. Your words have challenged us deeply, said Vorax. When you said humans killed their gods, many feared you. But perhaps there was wisdom in that statement we did not initially understand. We didn't really kill God, explained Jinho. We simply changed how we think about the divine. Explain, requested Vorax, genuine curiosity in his voice. Jinho thought carefully before speaking. He looked at his team, at Kira, at the council members, watching him. So much depended on his words. Long ago, he began, humans believed gods controlled everything, the sun, rain, life, death. We begged them for good fortune and blamed them for disasters. We were like children looking to powerful parents. The chamber was silent, everyone listening intently. As we learned more about how the universe works, we realized natural forces, not divine beings, cause most events. This was frightening at first. If gods didn't control everything, who would protect us? Jinho paused, gathering his thoughts. That's when we made our greatest discovery. The divine wasn't gone, it had transformed. Instead of gods above us, we found divine qualities within us. Curiosity, compassion, courage, creativity. The ability to learn, to grow, to help others. Hana smiled at Jinho, understanding where he was going. We didn't kill our gods, continued Jinho. We internalized them. We took responsibility for creating, protecting, and understanding the universe. Not as godlike beings ourselves, but as caretakers of something precious. An interesting perspective, said Elder Jen. You see, divinity in the pursuit of knowledge itself, and in how we use that knowledge, added Jinho. Power without wisdom is dangerous, but knowledge guided by compassion and responsibility can create wonders. Elder Vorax considered Jinho's words. This committee that Elder Jen will lead, would humans be willing to participate, to share your perspective? Of course, said Jinho without hesitation. That's why we came to the stars, to learn and to share. Then it is decided, announced Vorax. Humans will join the galactic community, and a new era of careful exploration begins. 2 weeks later, Jinho stood at the viewing window of the horizon once more. The ship was preparing to return to Earth with the historic news of humanity's acceptance into the galactic community. How do you think people back home will react? Asked Hana, joining him by the window. With excitement, probably, said Jinho. And maybe a little fear. Change is never easy. Daejung looked up from his tablet. The scientific community will be thrilled about the exchange program. 17 alien species with unique technologies. There's so much to learn. And to teach, added Taewon. For once, the security chief looked relaxed. It turns out our dangerous human ways have some admirers out there. The door opened and Kira entered the ship's bridge. The crystalline being glowed with a bright blue-green light that Jinho had come to recognize as happiness. The first exchange scientists are ready, reported Kira. 12 representatives, 1 from each council species that voted for acceptance. And they understand the restrictions? Asked Jinho. The council had insisted that technological exchange happen slowly, with careful oversight. They do, confirmed Kira, but they are still eager to begin. For many, this is a dream they never thought possible. And what about you? Asked Hana. Will you visit Earth someday? Kira's crystals shimmered. I have been appointed as liaison between humans and the council. I will be visiting your world very soon. Jinho smiled. You'll like it there. Humans have many questions, few limits, and endless curiosity. Just like me, said Kira. A chime sounded, indicating the ship was ready for departure. It's time, said Jinho. Earth is waiting for the news. As the horizon pulled away from the station, Jinho thought about the strange journey that had brought them here. A simple question about gods had nearly ended humanity's first contact in disaster. Yet that same question had opened the door to the stars. You know, said Jin-ho, watching the station grow smaller in the distance. I've been thinking about what I said when we first arrived. About killing our gods? Asked Hana. Jin-ho nodded. I think I was wrong. How so? Asked Daijung. We didn't kill our gods, said Jin-ho. We became them, not as all-powerful beings, but as creators, explorers, and caretakers. We took the best qualities we once assigned to gods and tried to live up to them ourselves. That's a lot of responsibility, noted Taiwan. Yes, agreed Jin-ho. But that's what growing up is all about, taking responsibility. As the horizon engaged its faster-than-light drive, the stars stretched into lines of light. Jin-ho thought about the future waiting for humanity. A future among the stars, with new friends, new challenges, and endless possibilities. They hadn't killed their gods after all. They had simply grown into their inheritance.